In this video, I'm going to reveal the 9 secrets that you will need to succeed on Amazon FBA in 2019. So if you're ready, let's go. So if you've been following me for any period of time now, you probably know that in most of my videos on this channel, I talk about how Amazon FBA is constantly changing. And in many ways, it's actually getting more difficult. And this is only becoming more true coming into 2019. So in this video, I want to reveal the 9 biggest secrets that I think you need to know just to give you a heads up so that you can prepare in advance for the changes that either have come or are coming. By the way, if we haven't met yet, my name's Myles. I'm a multi-million-dollar Amazon FBA seller. And I started this channel with the sole purpose of teaching you everything you need to know to start your own life-changing 6 or 7-figure Amazon FBA business. So if you do like that, then make sure to subscribe, like the videos if you get value out of them, and just leave me any comments as well. I really love getting them, and every like, every comment really helps my channel grow, so I appreciate it a lot. And one thing before I do start talking about these 9 secrets, I just wanted to say thank you. Whether you've been with me for 1 day or whether you've been with me for 6 months, I want you to know that I appreciate you, having you as a subscriber. I also want to wish you luck for 2019, whether it's with your Amazon FBA business or whatever other challenging goals you're setting. I've actually hit 2 major milestones and goals for myself for this year, 2018 as well. So when I started this YouTube channel, I wanted to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And obviously now I'm at just over 6,000. So thank you for helping me achieve that one. And the second goal was to hit $600,000 in 1 month with my Amazon FBA sales. So I achieved that as well. I'll put the photo up here somewhere. So I'm stoked about that, and I'm really keen to take it into 2019, set some big goals as well, and try and achieve them. So I'll be working on them with you together in 2019. I did want to give back just as a final expression of gratitude. I don't do these very often. I'm going to do a giveaway call for 1 lucky winner, 1 lucky subscriber. I'm going to give the details sometime during this video, so you'll have to watch the whole way through if you want to enter that to get a giveaway call with me. And without further ado, let's start talking about the 9 secrets that you need to know to succeed on Amazon FBA in 2019. Number 1, things have changed. This is reality now, and we just have to accept it. So if you're new to Amazon FBA, or you've come into this in the last year or so, probably seen, and you probably are seeing a lot of outdated information that either is deliberately misleading, or the people who are giving it to you simply don't sell anymore on Amazon FBA, and so they don't really know what it's currently like to sell. So it's much more competitive now than it was a year ago or even a couple of years ago. This is the worst on Amazon US, which is the biggest marketplace, obviously. It's the most competitive, and it's really, really very competitive in a lot of different niches or a lot of different areas that you could be looking at to sell products into. So this is good news and bad news, and I'm going to start with the bad news. What this means is that those old ways don't work anymore. And so if you are learning them, you are setting yourself up to fail, or if not to fail, you're setting yourself up into a dangerous and risky position where you could lose money, you could waste time, or maybe worst of all, you could actually start to disbelieve or start to think that this Amazon FBA business model isn't a real business model, because it is. It's just that the old way is now harder or impossible to do. So to be clear, let me explain what I mean by the old way. What I mean is start with $1,000 to $2,000, find a niche using Jungle Scout or Viral Launch, find a hot niche with high demand, source that very same product, and then simply pay your way to get to page 1. And then once you're ranked, you rake in sales, and suddenly that product is making $20,000, $30,000 a month. That way it just doesn't work anymore unless you have the skills and experience and a lot of money in order to back that product up and just brute force your way up there with a really high marketing budget, which means a lot of money. This way doesn't work anymore. And how much money are we actually talking to make this old way work? I'm talking $10,000 or sometimes much more for one product just to get that product running. That's if you're doing things the old way. A lot of beginner sellers don't realize this, but here are the first warning signs. You launch your product and your PPC costs are double or triple what you expected. You didn't budget for them, but you're paying them over and over again. Your product isn't ranking, and so essentially the only way that you can make sales is through PPC, and your PPC bids are much more expensive than you're expecting. Your conversion rate is lower, and all of your money basically goes to advertising. And if you don't recognize that that's the old way, you could easily do this for months without realizing that that is what's happening. So the good news then is that if you recognize that problem and see it coming, you can prevent it and do things the new way. So when I say new way, you don't actually have to change that much about what you've been doing. You just need to think about it from a slightly different perspective. Instead of trying to go for the biggest pie, trying to make the most money, what you're now trying to do is you're trying to add the most value. And the way that you do that is, instead of going for these big popular niches with lots of demand, start looking in the smaller niches and start looking for the areas in which you can create a differentiated, improved, unique product. A product that's actually going to add value to the marketplace and make someone's life better at the end of the day. This is really the best way in 2019 to avoid that trap or that endless cycle of just paying for advertising costs and basically burning all of your money. If you do this and you genuinely have the best product on the market, you will naturally see that your conversion rate goes up and your click-through rate goes up. And those are the 2 key metrics that really define how many sales you get on Amazon. And it's a virtuous cycle as well. So the more sales you're getting, the the more Amazon recognizes that you should be ranked higher. And so you'll be getting essentially free ranking. Whereas in the previous situation, you're struggling, you're down at the bottom, you're paying all of this money and you're not getting anywhere. You do it the new way, your product rises to the top naturally, which is where all the sales are, where all the money is. And I'm not just saying this, I'm actually doing it. So this is the main part of my business plan looking forwards to 2019. So I'm going to spend less time focusing on the short-term little hacks here and there, because essentially everyone else is playing that game. Everyone else is figuring them out, and taking advantage of them, and then they don't actually offer you any advantage. I'm spending less time doing that, more time focusing on identifying winning improvements and executing that like clockwork. And again, it's those genuinely high quality products that will be the ones that rise to the top very easily and very cheaply. Now, keep in mind that this new way is harder than the old way. And this is a good thing because it means that if you can put the effort in, if you can learn how to do it properly, you will be adequately rewarded because most people are lazy. Most people can't be bothered. And in fact, if we look at Google Trends, we can see that Amazon FBA just isn't that quick money-making hot opportunity that it used to be compared to things like dropshipping. And again, at the end of the day, this is a good thing. It's good for Amazon's customers because they're getting better products, and it's good for legitimate businesses because this is what business is. It's creating more value. The second secret is to build a product portfolio. It's no longer about focusing on that single winning product. The risk is great. The payoff is low. Again, those marketing costs will eat you up. And so unless you've got lots of money, you just can't get those home runs anymore. So go for the singles. And once we're looking at these singles, these smaller products, less volume, there's less money in them, but they're just good products and they rise to the top. Once we're looking at them, now we need to start building them into a portfolio because, individually, they're not going to change your life, but 10 of them or 20 of them definitely will. My personal sweet spot is looking at around about $5,000 to $8,000 in revenue per month. I also go for seasonal products. So normally they're doing $5,000 to $8,000 per month. And then during Christmas, for example, they're doing a lot more. And that's how I achieved my results of $600,000 in 1 month. Your sweet spot can vary a little bit, but the general idea is that you're slipping in underneath where most people are looking at, and especially where most of the experienced people, the people with all of the capital and everything to throw around that you probably don't have. This is a better approach because it's lower risk. Now, most of us aren't going to succeed with our first product. I can give you all of the advice in the world, but honestly, this is the dead and honest truth, is that your first product probably isn't going to make you that much money. You may get lucky, you may do everything right, you might have the right factors, but even now I've launched more than 30 products and I still can't guarantee a 100% product success rate. It just doesn't happen. It's impossible. There are too many unknowns. So for this first product, you're really just trying to get your foot in the door in a relatively low risk way. You don't want to risk everything, especially you don't want to be, riding all of your hopes and dreams on this single first product because you might have to try twice or maybe 3 times to find this product that's actually going to make you a reliable and good sustainable income. Once you have that first product, then you start expanding your product portfolio from that first one. So you drive the wedge into this niche. You're not going to retire on this product, but that's fine because now you know this niche, you know the keywords, you know the competitors, you already have a brand, you already have graphics designers, you already have a supplier as well. All of this stuff now is done. So now you just build off that and keep building off that. And trust me on this because it's hard to see when you haven't got there yet. But once you have that foundation that's successful and you know it can make you money, it's really easy to build more products on top of that. And once you've got this small but profitable foundation, that's when you can start climbing the ladder if you want to. If you want to start going for higher competition products, then you can do that because you have the skills now. You've proven it that it works for you and you can start going and taking more risks, investing more money into these products that will make you more and more money over time. So start small, low risk, accept that first one might fail, accept that it's probably not going to change your life. But as soon as you find one, if you fail, then try again. And as soon as you have your second or your third product that's working well for you, that's when you start building a product portfolio around that. You start taking bigger risks and getting bigger returns as well. Number 3, go back to basics. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that you don't need to use Instagram influencers. You don't need Clickfunnels. You don't even need Facebook ads. So you do need to understand the basics of how business works. Revenue versus profit. What's the difference? If you don't understand this very well, then you need to go and do that research. And it's not related to Amazon FBA. It's just related to doing business. Cash flow as well. Amazon is really cash flow intensive. And if you don't understand that, you can easily run out of money halfway through a reorder or, without enough money to keep going. You need to understand customer psychology. Who are the people that you're going to be selling products to? What do they want? Why are they buying the products that they're buying? If you can't answer that question, then you're probably going to struggle when it comes to finding a unique and good product. You're probably going to struggle when it comes to creating an attractive listing. It's the same repeated theme where a few years ago, this may have worked where you would just, play it completely by the numbers and never actually have to realize or accept that there's a real person on the other end buying your stuff. But in 2019 on Amazon, you have to understand who that person is, why they would buy your product, and have real answers for that. So go and do your own research and take the time to understand those things. You won't find much information about those fundamentals if you are typing in Amazon FBA into YouTube, for example, but they're the things that matter. They are probably the source of 95+% of the success of my own Amazon business, and they probably will be for yours too. And the silver lining of going back and learning these basic things that aren't sexy at all, the silver lining is that these things don't change. And so in 6 months' time, when Amazon changes its tactics and the current methods to get reviews and, rank, all of those things change, all of those basics will stay exactly the same. And so once you know them, with this business, you'll be able to start another business later on. And these things just don't go out of fashion. So in 2019, go back to basics. Number 4, don't infringe on copyright. Now, this sounds like a really basic, really obvious one, but I'm seeing it happen more and more. I know personally 2 sellers who've had their listings taken down for using the word Velcro as a specific example. Now, that's one that you probably don't even realize is copyrighted, but it is. And if you put the word Velcro as one specific example, if you put that in your listing will get taken down. There are probably thousands of examples like this, in addition to all of the actual brand names. So if you're using a competitor's brand name anywhere, whether it's in your title, in your listing copy, in your backend search terms, recognize that your listing may get taken down, and if it does, you may never get it back. So I believe it's a combination of Amazon getting more strict about this stuff and also the copyright holders themselves being able to enforce it more easily on Amazon. So whatever the reason may be, it's your responsibility at the end of the day to check this. So go over your entire listing with a fine-tooth comb, make sure there's nothing copyrighted, no other brand names, because it's simply not worth the risk. Number 5, think outside the box. So the theme here is to take on difficult challenges, do difficult things, because lazy people don't want to do the difficult things. And when you get rid of the lazy people, you have a lot less competition. And you can think about these things, the difficulty, as either an obstacle that makes you want to quit, makes you want to try something else, try something that's easier, or you can think about it as a challenge that once you solve that challenge and once you have overcome that obstacle, then it becomes a barrier that stops other people from coming in and competing with you. So for example, seasonal products. I wouldn't have been able to sell $600,000 in 1 month if I wasn't selling seasonal products. Now the challenge there is mainly around cash flow, first of all. So you need to have enough cash available so that you can buy a lot of inventory for a short period of time. That's a challenge. But there are lots of ways to get over that obstacle. You could get a loan or borrow money. You could renegotiate payment terms with your suppliers so that you can pay them later. You could sell counter-seasonal products, for example, summer products and winter products, so that they both balance each other out. Another way of thinking outside the box would be to go for oversized products. So a lot of advice out there says just go for little shoebox products. But what if you do the exact opposite? Then what's the challenge there? It's really just understanding fees. And if you can calculate those fees correctly, you know that that product has the right margins, you know what your oversized storage fees are going to be, you know what your shipping costs are going to be, then you've just solved that problem. It doesn't make any difference to you, but it's going to keep other people out from competing with you. Another example would be fragile products. So that's exactly the same. You just need to solve the packaging problem and the returns problem. Either you need to account for it in your costs, or you need to maybe over-engineer that packaging so that the products don't break in transit. And once you've done that, again, you're going to have less competition. Another example would be selling on Amazon UK or EU. Then you need to deal with VAT. And obviously people are like, well, I don't want to learn about VAT. I don't want to have to, deal with that stuff. Fine. If you don't want to deal with it, then somebody else will. Somebody who can take on that challenge will go and sell in the UK or EU, which are much less competitive markets, and they'll get easier sales because they weren't afraid to do the work. So in general, in 2019, start to think further outside the box. Think of these things not as obstacles that will keep you away, but actually challenges that once you get over them, then you're going to keep other people out. Number 6, optimize your listing. And the way or the standard that you need to follow when doing this has changed as well. So it used to be just about, finding a better photographer, getting nicer images done than the previous seller. But now that level is no longer really sufficient. You need to step it up to the next level. So firstly, prioritization. Understand that the most important, by far, parts of listing optimization are going to be the main image and then the title. Those are the things that show up on the search page. If you don't have a good main image or you don't have a good title, you either will never show up on the search page or no one will ever click on your listing and they will never have any opportunity to actually click the add to cart button, which is what you want. So once you've got those 2 things out of the way, then you can worry about secondary images, then you can worry about bullets, and then finally the description. And the description really doesn't matter very much. Again, it's still about those basics. So it's about understanding consumer psychology. And for example, with your main listing image, it's about having visual colors that will pop out and having nice angles and filling the entire frame. All of these things will actually act as subconscious triggers so that the person scrolling through the results page, they don't consciously recognize that they want to click on your listing. They just do. And then once they've clicked through, they're looking at your secondary images, they're looking at your bullets. That's when you need to start drawing in the features, benefits. And so you should know the difference between the two. One, a feature is a specification or just the characteristic of the product, which does not sell the product. And then a benefit is what the person or the customer will actually get out of those features. How does it make their life better? That's what will sell the product. It's emotions, it's benefits, it's the triggers, again, these subconscious triggers that when somebody's reading it, they don't recognize that they're actually being attracted to it because of that, but they are. And again, these are not Amazon FBA fundamentals, so these aren't things that you'll really find a lot of detail about if you're typing in Amazon FBA into YouTube. You need to go and just learn about marketing, for example. Spend the time to learn those basics and you'll be able to optimize your listings from a 7 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. So in my business, we're going back and doing this for some of our older listings that originally they were just, nicer photos than the next listing. Now we're adding in features, benefits, we're adding in pain points, fears, objections, things like that into our listing images. We're seeing between a 20% to a 100% increase in sales by doing this. So again, if you understand these fundamentals, these basics, you can drastically increase your sales on Amazon and optimize your listings, from a 7 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. Secret number 7, have realistic expectations. Success is definitely not guaranteed. It never was, and going forwards, it is even less so guaranteed. There's no magic bullet, and if you're expecting Amazon FBA to be a magic bullet to solve all the problems in your life, you're going to be disappointed. You're probably not going to have the effort and the drive and the motivation to actually get to the point where it does start to really change your life. So I can tell you from personal experience that it takes a lot of time, it takes persistent effort and continual learning to stay in this Amazon game, let alone to succeed at it. If you're looking at starting Amazon FBA in 2019 and you're thinking, well, how much effort do I actually need to put into this until I can just start making money and start, taking cash out and living a good life? At minimum, you're not going to see success for probably 6 months, maybe 12 months. And then I would recommend, in terms of taking money out and taking out profits and enjoying the success, the longer you can wait, the better you'll do. I'm now 2 years into my business and I'm just starting to take out any significant amount of money. I'll link you to a video up here where I talk about the challenges and the frustrations of actually having to go through this, because it really is about delayed gratification. And if you're going into this with unrealistic expectations of immediate returns, you're probably just not going to make it. And the follow-on point as well is that if you go into this with unrealistic expectations because you need an immediate return, maybe you're in debt or you don't have a job or something like that, and you just are trying to get this sudden change to happen so that you can quickly take money out and survive, you will struggle with Amazon FBA because you will be in a corner, and you need to be able to, like I said in the earlier point, you need to be able to take risks with those first couple of products, which may not work out for you. And if you can't afford that money invested in products that maybe are making money, maybe aren't, if you literally just can't afford that, then you can't make good decisions. You can't stay in the game for long enough. So it's so important, go into this with realistic expectations about how long it will take to get any money out, let alone profits. And that actually leads on into my next point, number 8, which is to have money. This is a brutal answer. A lot of people won't like to hear this, but it's the truth. It's not black and white. You can still succeed, but your chance of doing so just fades. It goes down the less money that you have. And the reason why is the things that we've talked about, the themes in this video that I've talked about in terms of taking risks. You have to be able to take risks. You need to be able to delay that gratification. You need to put money in without getting money out, so that you can learn, so that you can make mistakes and actually get better over time. And if you don't have the money to put in, you just will stop when you run out of money. Can't stress it enough, but keep in mind that most people's first products aren't that successful. You might think differently based on what you've heard in Facebook groups or maybe what some guru has told you, but keep in mind this thing called selection bias, or more specifically, survivorship bias. When you're reading these stories about people doing this and succeeding with small amounts of money, or even just seeing the number of success stories, keep in mind that the ones most likely to tell you that they succeeded are only the ones who succeeded. And so most people who either aren't doing very well or they failed completely, they're much less likely to actually tell you that they did. And so you'll get this distorted perspective on reality. You'll always get this bias, and you have to be really careful of it because it can paint a much rosier picture than your actual realistic chance of success, or at least immediate success. So do keep that idea of survivorship bias at the forefront in your mind when you're reading these stories, seeing these success stories and hearing about them all, because it doesn't mean that you can't do it. You definitely can. I will be the first person to tell you that anything is possible, but it's not going to be possible if you just walk into it and treat it like a cakewalk and like you don't have to put effort in. Whereas some of those stories can lead you to believe that. So just one point on that, I am specifically talking about Amazon FBA private label. So you can do other ways of making money on Amazon or online with less startup capital, like online arbitrage, or you can do drop shipping, things like that. I don't have much experience with that, but if that's your specific obstacle, you're wondering, well, how do I start Amazon FBA private label without money or with very little money? My answer is go get the money first. Either work overtime at your current job, get a second job, basically do what you need to do. You can start arbitrage as well. I'm going to be exploring this further on this channel with a case study, and I'm going to do this over 6 months, and I'm going to show you how at least one person can get started online making money so that they can save up for something like Amazon FBA, which is much more scalable and has much more overall potential. But it's not a good starting point if you don't have much money. So that's point 8. have money. Number 9, get the right mentor. And I don't mean just go out and buy the next course that you see. The internet is full of free and great information. I've personally had dozens of people tell me that they had already bought a course and then they realized that there was more value given out for free on channels like my own one, that they didn't need to have bought the course in the first place. So find the way of learning that's good and right for you. Do your own diligence about who you're learning from. Because that's the problem with getting not just paid information, but free information as well. You don't know who it's coming from. You don't know if it's outdated. I would say if you're going to be learning from an Amazon FBA mentor, you want to know what are their results. Are they actually selling now, today, or were they selling 2 years ago, or were they never selling at all? You really need direct evidence of that, and they should be able to show you and be transparent about it. So if they aren't transparent about that, you can probably expect that information is either going to be outdated, it's going to be wrong, or it's going to be vague. Now, keeping in mind that no course is going to be a magic bullet, so it doesn't matter how good the information is, 99% of it is going to be on you anyway to take that information, to learn from it, and to basically do the work to translate that into success for yourself. Quite a few people have been asking recently if I have a course or if I'm planning to make a course. I do already have a course. It's kind of funny. I guess I don't push it that hard on this channel, but it's the first link in most of the video descriptions. It's called the FBA Freedom Accelerator. I'm pretty confident it's the best course on the market. There's very few gurus who are actually selling on Amazon at a high level. I am, and that course is everything that I've learned up until now, everything that I am learning, and everything that I'm doing in 2019 to grow my own business. So that link again is, it's gonna be the first one in the video descriptions. I do also provide one-on-one mentorship. So that's personal access to me. That's just a common question that I get. So those are the 9 secrets that you need to know to succeed on Amazon FBA in 2019. So before I close this video, I wanted to talk about the giveaway. So again, I just wanted to give back to all of you and say thank you for supporting me on this channel and for being with me throughout this year. I'm absolutely grateful for it. So I wanted to hop on a half-an-hour call with one lucky subscriber. So to enter the giveaway, you have to like the video if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel, I assume that you already are, click the notification bell as well. So those are the 3 things, and then message me on Instagram, DM me at the Nomad Millionaire. I'll leave that on the screen. Once you've done all 4 of those things, then send me that message. And if you've won, then I will message you back on Instagram and we can have a call. You can ask me whatever you want, or we can just have a chat. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much. And I'll see you in the next video.